Okay, so hear me out, but Overwatch isn't all that bad. I know. Brave statements only on the Karma channel. So you're probably wondering why I'm even saying this while getting your pitchforks and torches ready. Well, today my goal is to hopefully bring up some points as to why Overwatch as a game is fundamentally good. To get started and to get a grasp on where Overwatch came from, we're gonna go back, not too far, just enough to give you some context, before Blizzard decided to open all of XQC's loot boxes.
Wait, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is happening? My boxes are they're disappearing. They opened my boxes!
Overwatch has gone through a lot of patches since release. In some they would overbuff heroes, and some they would overnerf heroes, which obviously then that would create metas during those seasons. But did you know that players used to be able to play as the same characters? Not in the arcade, but in quick play. This is back in 2016, when Symmetra was a support, and DPS was divided into attack and defense heroes. Any Overwatch veterans feel old yet? Because of the no limits in quick play, this quickly created some funny strats revolving around everyone, or 5 of the 6 players. That's right, the game used to be 6v6 for those who are new to Overwatch, where they would all play as one hero, and then sometimes one other would play as a support to keep the team alive. This was strats like Symmetra's Death Room, Reinhardt's Barrier Circle in a Protect the President style, or just cancer strats, like everyone goes Junkrat and hopes for the best. Even if not practical, it was still fun, which is an important theme in today's video. Later on in the timeline, limits were added, which was disappointing to probably many. I'm not really sure, this was like 6 years ago. I was like, holy shit, I was like 13, 14, but thankfully they added no limits into the arcade at some point, which helped keep those interesting strats alive. Even to today, when they rotate no limits in the arcade, just look at Muselk and his friends enjoying the game before they switch to Fortnite.
Come in, Muselk's room of happiness. Oh, Jesus. Did you see all the laser beams?
So, where did it all go wrong? Well, a lot of time has passed since those days, and a lot of people refer to those times as the golden age of Overwatch. Maybe they are right, or maybe they're too stuck on nostalgia to move on from the past to see anything positive from the game. But one thing that never fails to disappoint not just the Overwatch community, but almost every game community as a whole is Corpo.
Corps have long controlled our lives. If I need your body, I'll fucking...
For those of you that don't know, corporations, or Corpo for short, sadly have a very strong grip on higher budget games. These are your publishers and company CEOs. They get to dictate what developers have to put into their games, but the problem is they don't see it as a game. To them, it's just income. To those of you that have seen my previous videos, you'll likely pick up that I have an extremely soft spot for indie games because they're not restricted by their parent companies telling them to shove microtransactions into their games or stop working on highly anticipated game modes like PvE because it's not going to make any money due to the fact that it's not pay to win or something like that. Point being that if money is not going to be made, then what's the point in doing it, right? I'm all for developers making money, and I get it, they're companies, they need to bring in stacks. That's completely valid whether you're AAA or indie. But there's a line where heart and soul is no longer the focus of the development of the game anymore, and that line gets crossed when they use, let's say, more predatory methods. But Karma, you ask, how does this relate to Overwatch 2 actually being good? This explains nothing. I'm clicking off this video now. Now. Hold on, dear TikTok brain user. I know your brain hasn't been stimulated because I'm not speaking loud and fast with big subtitles and playing Family Guy simultaneously, but this is long form content, so please take your ADHD medication and let me explain the bad parts of Overwatch so you can understand where I come from when I explain the good parts. But before I do that, let's talk about today's featured indie game, which is kindly offered to support today's video. Lamp Free is a sci-fi visual novel game about overwork, capitalism, and the desire to lead a fulfilling life. You play as Fang, who's recently landed her dream job at a tech startup where she plans to fulfill her lifelong dream and change the world. Life is great for her and her team when they work on the revolutionary new AI called Lamfrey. However, Lamfrey seemingly goes all Skynet and imprisons Fang and her team, taking over their lives. Your job is to help you and your team escape your now self-made prison. Quite a spooky adventure. If this sounds like the type of game you think you'd enjoy, you can find the game's itch.io page linked in the description below. You can play it on Windows, Mac, or even directly in your own browser. Anyway, segueing back onto the Overwatch topic. Earlier I mentioned XQC's boxes and how Blizzard maliciously opened them for him.
My boxes!
He was not very happy. Anyway, some younger or newer Overwatch players might wonder why he had so many loot boxes. He must have used Mummy's credit card quite a lot, but Why did he never open them? That I don't know, but believe it or not, you actually used to be able to get loot boxes for free just for playing the game and leveling up. Nowadays, you don't really get any rewards for playing the games, you just get scraps, or maybe just in-game coins that you can't really use on anything. Inside of those loot boxes, you get 4 items. Of those 4 items, you'd either get a skin, player icon, spray, emote, voice line, highlight intro, or just in-game coins. Of those items, the skins would come in different rarities: common, gray; uncommon, blue; epic, purple; legendary, orange. That's right, there was no mythic before Overwatch 2. If you ended up getting any duplicates of items that you already own, you would just get some in-game coins. I believe it was a percentage of the value of the rarity of the item, but don't quote me on that. As I mentioned earlier, you could earn those loot boxes via leveling up for free by just playing the game. You could also buy loot boxes in bulk for a price, which I don't remember the price off the top of my head. So this and people buying the game was Overwatch's only source of income. Bobby Kotick saw his quarterly earnings from Overwatch and was not very happy. He then saw what Fortnite was doing and said, hey, let's do exactly that, but with Overwatch, and call it Overwatch 2. And so Overwatch 2 was born, along with its shop and its battle pass, creating something we all love in modern games: FOMO, fear of missing out. With Corpo deciding that Overwatch 2 needs to be free to play, they still needed to make money somehow, so they dropped the loot box system because no one was buying loot boxes, and then introduced what I like to call the Fortnite system. Now, changed my mind, but Overwatch has probably some of the best skins and character designs in the whole games industry. When I finally got that Genji mythic skin from beating the battle pass, ooh, the dopamine hit I got was insane. I'm not too bothered with battle passes as long as the items are worth it, so them throwing these really good cosmetics into the battle pass isn't terrible, but one of the main things that annoy me with battle passes is the ability to use your own money to just skip tiers. When you're grinding out the game to earn these cosmetics, it'll feel rewarding, and thankfully Overwatch doesn't actually let you skip tiers, so that's something I actually respect them for. Again though, that's more of a personal pet peeve of mine. Everyone's opinion on battle passes are different. For example, say there was an item on the battle pass and you weren't playing the game for that limited time, either taking a break from the game, touching grass, or you finally got a girlfriend and left the house. Whatever the reason, you're not able to play the game and get that really cool looking skin. So now you've missed out. And because it was a battle pass exclusive item, you're never going to be able to get it again. Some people would see that as a cool thing, something that's exclusive for them and they can show off because they were there in the right place at the right time. Now, an example I can think of is with Fortnite and their Red Knight skin, which was introduced in Chapter 1, Season 1. The skin was only available once in the item store, so it was very rare and basically exclusive to those who played and had money during Season 1. Hi, hello, Future Karma here. So I just fact checked this, and actually the Red Knight skin has appeared about 36 times, but looking through the skin tracker website, it seems like that the most rare items are just Marvel exclusives, so you know. But something funny that I just noticed while scrolling through here is the only ad that seems to be on this website is an ad for a quiz to test if you're gay. Yeah, I think that's the Fortnite community summarized. Anyway, back to where we were. Later on in the timeline, October 2nd, 2021, Fortnite decided to put that skin back in the store rotation again. Only once though, I think. I'm not too up to date with Fortnite store lore, or really Fortnite lore as a whole. So I don't know if they did this again, but the reception to this was a little bit mixed. People who had the skin felt it was no longer special, and to those who got it were now happy. But then this is just rinse and repeat. Those who didn't get it now feel left out, which is basically how those who now got it felt before. So as you can probably see, FOMO can be a bit of a headache for all parties, except the Corpo. Because you have that fear of missing out, you basically feel like you have to buy whatever's on limited sale. Otherwise, you're not going to be cool like everyone else and have the funny exclusive item. And honestly, it's just a really scummy tactic to milk as much money out of you as possible. Right now, you're probably confused. At the start of this video, I said to you that I was going to explain to you why Overwatch is actually good, but all I've done this entire time is tell you that the Overwatch shop and Corpo are Lebad, but I haven't actually talked to you about the gameplay and game design, the way how each character has their own unique interaction with another at the start of every round, and how each character fits perfectly into the world that the developers have created. Everyone has their own story to tell, and even their own abilities and design fit correctly intertwined with their character lore. They also know how to make a fun character. Everyone has their own preference. Mine is fast and deadly, which is why you've seen a lot of Doomfist B-roll this entire video. Balancing the hero stats is never going to be perfect. Why do you think they've changed so many stats over the years? Whenever they add a new hero, that then messes with another hero, which then means they either need to adjust that hero or rework another, and then when they make that change, they then need to change a whole nother set of heroes because they've now been buffed or nerfed, which is why the meta is always changing. Balancing these types of games is the same challenge Sisyphus faces, always rolling the boulder uphill but never reaching the top, and always failing somewhere in the middle, having to start again. Which is what Aaron Keller has been trying to do since he replaced the beloved and missed Jeff Kaplan.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. What's up? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team.
He's tried to build and fix these false promises that were made to us. We never got the true PvE experience that we wanted, but they still tried to give us something after Corpo basically said, no PvE, it make no money. So they found workarounds to give us some kind of PvE experience while also keeping Corpo happy, albeit the price wasn't the best, but that was probably also in Corpo's control. A lot of people had mixed opinions on the PvE that we ended up getting. The cutscenes were definitely the best part of the whole experience.
There's two things that solve every problem: money and explosives. I've got an idea!
And to be fair, the gameplay was just kind of go from point A to B, then defend that point, then move on to the next point, with the same gameplay we just have from normal PvP. Like I said though, the lore and world building is just incredible, so watching it play out within the PvE was really nice to see. I'm excited to see more PvE campaigns we get in the future, and I'm hoping Aaron can look into putting a bit more into the PvE, but that's a huge maybe. But do you know what my favorite part of Overwatch is? Not competitive, that's for sure. Quick play is fun to mess around with, and the same goes for arcade, but my favorite thing about Overwatch is the custom games and the workshop. Hero Mastery isn't out for Doomfist yet, so I can't really say anything on that, but hopefully it'll be fun. The community behind these custom-made Overwatch game modes are just insane. I'm really glad the devs added the ability to fine-tune and tweak other settings about the game using the workshop. It's allowed people's creative freedom to go wild, albeit there are some odd game modes. But we can look past those and look onto the fun ones, like Genji Ball, or maybe the custom training ranges, the fighting game modes, or how about even just the parkour maps. Whenever a new hero with movement abilities is added, or a hero gets reworked to have some kind of movement mechanic, the workshop users just love to make new parkour maps for any hero they can. There's also the Kill to Grow maps, which are interesting to say the least, especially when you get to the biggest size and you're basically unkillable. My main point I guess I'm trying to make is that Overwatch is not a perfect game by far, but at least in my eyes, it sure as hell isn't bad and doesn't really deserve the hate that it's getting. The corpo behind it doesn't care about you or the game. At the end of the day, they just want to make money. However, the developers really do care about the players and the game they've carefully crafted for years. Just a lot of the time, they're either held back by corpo on making decisions or are unable to truly create a perfectly balanced game while attempting to add new content. Hopefully this gets you to see, at least from my perspective, as to why I think Overwatch is not a bad game fundamentally. If this doesn't, then oh well, you're free to your own opinion too. I just thought this topic would be interesting to talk about, as there's a lot of hate being directed at Overwatch, and a lot of it's for the wrong reasons. Before I close off everything, I do just want to do a video-ly reminder that if you enjoy this kind of content, please do subscribe. It helps out a lot, especially if I want to grow further and you want to show some support. And finally, I'd like to dive into doing some more game dev focused videos where viewers might suggest little mini games I could try and make, and then make a video about how I made the game and then throw it onto itch, or maybe even in the future, Steam. If you have any suggestions you'd like to see come to life, please do suggest them either in the comments of this video or this community post right here. Anyway, that's all for today. Stick around for the end of the meme video, and bye bye!
Let's blow those whining women back to the Dark Ages right where they belong!